Right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone Ruel. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the full elect that is out there pushing, laboring, believing, and listening to this truth with our sincerity. And may the blessed election be upon your houses. All right, the title of this lesson is going to be, all right, a shortage of masculinity. All right, a shortage of masculinity. And what inspired this lesson was a quote that I have here on the screen, as you can see, by an individual named G.K. Chesterton. All right, and that quote is, "A society that emasculates a man sows the seeds of its own destruction." All right, and we live in a time, right, in a day and age where, true masculinity, all right, finding true men is a very rare commodity, man. All right. The only real true men that's still out here, all right, is only really the men of the Lord. All right. You look at these athletes, you look at these celebrities, you look at these quote unquote men or mighty men of this society. All right. In reality, they're effeminate, man. All right. They're being, all types of, effeminate things. Okay. But I want to read a little bit on this because I got it right here on the AI overview. It reads, it's highlighted, it says, suggests that a society that weakens, diminishes, or removes traditional masculine traits from its men will ultimately bring about its own downfall. And we see that in Babylon, right? Where, a man being a true man isn't found in this place, man. All right. Most of these men were raised by their mothers. All right. So that got them all effeminate, all emotional. Okay. You got men out here, following after these celebrity trends of wearing skirts and purses and so forth, man. All right. Kind of reminds me a little bit of that Boondocks, episode when they went to what's his name? Thugnificent. I think that's his name. All right. But that just goes to show you how far gone the society is. All right. Where there is truly a shortage of masculinity. All right. And on the same time, right, they try to demonize, all right, masculinity. Try to demonize being the real men. All right. You got lower rates of testosterone, right? They're putting estrogen in the food, right? Pumping out all types of effeminate things into the masses. All right. So it's so many things to play when it comes down to this. All right. And right here, let me see. Okay, this is one of these I want to get. I get this right here, the societal roles. I read the societal and the individual. It says Chesterton likely believed that men fulfill vital societal roles that depend on traditional masculine attributes such as strength, courage, and leadership. When these traits are suppressed, society becomes weaker, right? And also, right, the man is supposed to be the one who leads, right? The real man, right, who leads and guides. But in Babylon, right, you see the roles reversed. Right, you see the woman is the one that's leading. The man is the one that's following the woman ultimately, man. All right. Right. This place is completely, out of course. Right. Where they'll put the woman on a pedestal and they have the men, all right, basically, being effeminate, man. The ones getting down on their knees, man. In other terms. All right. And this is all done by design to ultimately do what? Destroy Jake, man. All right. They do these things to destroy Jake. All right, let me grab this real quick. This is a Jeremiah, the 31st chapter, verse 22. And it reads, "How long wilt thou go, O thou backsliding daughter? For the Lord had created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." And that's exactly what we see, man. Right? When you see, which I'm going to go into in a little bit, where you see women playing, more of these dominant roles in these movies, right? Women portraying, being, the head of their household. All right. Men just falling back. There's even a whole new trend that's pretty much going around that's promoting stay at home dads, so it's completely, pushing out a effeminate vibration upon the men. All right. I was talking to this Eve, a couple of days ago, and she was telling me, You know how, she's trying, through her little dating pool, whatever. She says, most of the men are effeminate, man. You know, she's like, she can't find a real authentic man. Going to show you that there is truly a shortage of masculinity, man. Right? It's a heavy, effeminate, heavy sodomite vibration that's getting pumped out and pushed out throughout Babylon, man. And who are they mainly targeting? Jake. Right? When you look at these movies, when you look at these commercials, right? Who is the ones that they're always having being a sodomite? Who is the one that they always having being effeminate, man? The so-called black man. All right. And these things really play a toll, or I guess you could, play a toll role on the minds of Jakes that's growing up in this place, man. Because that's all they're seeing, right? Again, that's like another form of witchcraft upon Jake, man. All right. I want to get this before I pull up these couple of these things I had here. This is Luke, the 19th chapter, verse 21. It reads, "For I fear thee, because thou art an austere man. Thou takest up that thou layest down, and reapest that thou didst not sow." Right? Yahushua was an austere man. Right? We are, ultimately, trying to model ourselves, like Yahushua. He was the definition of what you would call a masculine man. And let's go into that word austere here. All right. It's the Strong's G840. Okay. And it reads, "Of mind and manners, harsh, rough, rigid." All right. We go down here to the Strong's definition. It says rough, severe, austere. So in other terms, right? Yahushua was a truly a true man, right? A very rough, rigid man, right? When you think of a man, that is what you should envision. Someone that's tough, rough, whatever the case may be. But in Babylon's society nowadays, you search up, you try to think of a man, you seeing someone shaved face, nails painted, looking like they got makeup on them, man. All right. This place is completely defiled, man. Let's see. I'm gonna do a quick Google search. All right. Just type in a man. All right. First thing pop up, you got Elam. All right. Right? And for the most part, man, these men don't even really look austere, man. They got a clean shaved face Jake here, looking through. All right. Let me see this too. Right? Because most time you see the pictures of Jake, they got the bald head or shaved face, as you see here. Bald head, shaved face. And pretty much all these pictures of these Edomites, they got beards on their face. You ain't gonna, let's see, is there one without a beard on his face? Right? Yeah, this one right here. But nevertheless, right, this is what Babylon, you type in a man, they show you this, man. These men don't even look like, true austere man. All right. Some of them look effeminate. Some of them look, it just doesn't look right, man. All right. But nevertheless, let me grab this. All right. Because I was going through this thread here on X, formerly known as Twitter, and I took a couple of the different thread points here. All right, and this is another quote here, which we bring out at camp, sometimes, and it reads, "Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times." And if you look real closely, it says you are here. Right, this is where society is right now, man. This is where the plethora of so-called men are right now, right? Weak men, right? Real weak and effeminate men. All right, this is what gets pushed, right? And it reads right here, it says, "Modern culture glorifies soft masculinity, man. Confusion," right? It says, "Championed by high-profile figures like Drake, who normalize traditional feminine traits like painting nails and makeup for men." These are the things that's getting pushed onto the masses, man. Getting pushed into Jake, man. Right? You have our people that look up to these individuals, man, like Drake and so forth, like that. That's their role models, man. Whatever they do, they follow that, man. Right? So you got a bugged out nigga like Drake that's painting his nails, that's wearing makeup, that's promoting soft masculinity, whatever that is, you know, and our people are following it. Okay. Let's read a little bit more. It says, under the guise of self-expression, this agenda blurs the lines between genders, subtly eroding qualities such as resilience, leadership, and strength, traits once central to masculinity. This celebration of soft, androgynous men undermines the core of masculinity, casting assertiveness and dominance as obsolete. The result, a generation of men left uncertain about their identity and purpose in a society that drifts further from the strong, steadfast roots. And ultimately, what's happening right now, because of these devils, all right, these sold out people in this industry and all these things getting pumped out unto Drake, is they're promoting and pushing effeminate men. That's why there is a shortage of masculinity, a shortage of true men in this place, man. You're seeing the children, being brought up looking all effeminate, looking all, sweet, in other terms, as we say down here. All right. This is what's happening, man. When you see things like this, it goes to show you that, Babylon has to go. We need salvation. Even makes you think about the times of Jacob's trouble, man. The times where all hell break loose, man. Where, these effeminate men is not gonna be able to protect nobody, man. All right? They're not gonna be able to protect themselves. They're gonna be looking out here looking like food ultimately, man. Right? That's why again makes me think about that Isaiah 4:1, right? Them women cleaving unto the men of the Lord. All right, because those are truly gonna be the real men, right? True masculinity, man. Right? Your Pookies and Ray Rays, your so-called thugs, your so-called men in this society who you think is, may be masculine or whatever the case may be, but in reality they're effeminate. They're gonna be cooked out here in these times we're coming into, man. The Lord is not dealing with no effeminate men. Point blank, period, man. Yahweh Shah was an austere man. All right. Let me get this. And let's do this. First Maccabees 2:64. Wherefore ye my sons be valiant and shew yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall ye obtain glory. Right. So we got to show ourselves as men. All right. Real men. Right, not these, finger painting, fingernail painting men. All right, not these men out here wearing skirts. All right, real men that's truly serving Yahweh B'Shem Al Shai. All right, when we look at accounts of men in the scriptures, right, we look at King David. All right, see accounts of Yahweh Shai, the prophets, disciples and so forth, man. We see, the masculinity, through reading these different accounts, man. We see how these were truly men. All right. But nowadays, these people have these effeminate men that is getting, put up on a pedestal before them and telling them this is what a man is. Right. Babylon's completely through. Let me get this too. Right. And again, I was mentioning this a little earlier, right? And this is titled The Attack on Masculine Role Models in Media, right? Because now you have things like, images like this, right? Where, you got the woman leading the man holding the child, right? You got things like, this where, these superhero movies, where now they have the woman playing the dominant roles, right, and the men playing the feminine ones, getting beat up and needing to be saved by the woman, man. Things like this, right? And there was one I was hoping they had it on here, but they didn't. But another movie like Woman King, man. Like that's confusion, man. That's confusion. But this is what gets promoted in Babylon, man. Things of that sort. Salakia. Things of that sort. All right. Let me read a little bit on it. It says, in the 1960s, TV shows, movies, and advertisements showcased powerful male role models, war heroes, providers, leaders who embody strength, resolve, and resilience. right? Let's jump down a little bit. It says today Hollywood has replaced these icons with weak, effeminate characters, often passive and emotionally fragile, man. So they went from, showing masculine men back in the days to now you're seeing, weak, effeminate characters taking the roles of the main character, man. Right, going to show you that shift, man. Right. Right, they had that, that like it says right here at the bottom, right? It says, right, they had that strategic shift, right? And this goes to show you that these devils, they know exactly what they're doing, right? But it goes to show you the agenda that they're behind, man. As times continue in Babylon, we see this place get more and more wicked. We see the women become more and more masculine. The men become more and more effeminate. All right, the whole power structure is out of course. Okay, that's completely out of order, out of course. That is not the natural course of things, right? And I'm gonna get this too, and believe it's believe it's this right here. Yep, Ephesians 5:22. It reads, "Wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands as unto the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Hamashiach is the head of the church, and he is the savior of the body," right? And nevertheless, right, this place does the complete opposite of that, man. Right? Instead of having the wives submitting to their husbands and the husband being the head of the wife, it's completely backwards. Right? You have the husbands that's submitting unto their wives, and you got the wives being the head over the husbands in this place, man. Complete confusion. This is what happens when they're pushing out and promoting effeminate men, effeminate behavior, man. Right? Going back to this first picture right here, right? Weak men create hard times. Right? We are in a what's the word? A epidemic, of having a shortage of masculine men, right? Of masculinity. But you have an abundance, in other terms, of effeminate men in this place. This is why the Lord is highly upset with this place, man. This is why the slain of the Lord shall be many. All right. The Lord's not dealing with these effeminate men. All right. Oh man. And matter of fact, let me see if I could get this real quick. Because this scripture just came to mind. Let's pull this up. Let's switch this one up. We're going to get our first Corinthians. Matter of fact, let's just open up those 6. Right, so this is 1 Corinthians 6:9, and it reads, so like 1 Corinthians 6:9, and it reads, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of the Most High." Right? And right here, what we see it say, nor effeminate, right? Nor effeminate. The Lord not dealing with these effeminate men. All right. That's something that highly displeases Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Okay. I'm gonna grab these real quick. These next ones real quick. And again, this is another thing that we're seeing that is an effect of them pushing out men being effeminate, right? And this one's titled "The Destruction of the Family Unit." Right? You're seeing that birth rates are going down, right? Birth rates are plummeting, And this is a video that shows you the birth rates from 1951, to, I believe this stops at the pandemic time, right? showing you between United States, China, and Japan. And as the time progresses, it's just going down and down and down. All right. Feminism. And this ultimately does what? Because men are effeminate. Now you got these men that's out here being sodomites. You got less fathers in the household, right? It completely. Salakia, this video keeps playing. It completely. Salakia. It completely destabilizes, the family unit, man. All right, because now you have these effeminate men. The woman is now in the head, of the house. Now the man is either not in the house or whatever the case may be. Now it's completely just destabilizing the whole family structure. Now the sons that's getting raised in the house seeing that. Now the sons are growing up to be effeminate. It's a complete domino effect of destruction, man. All right. And this is what's happening, man. That's why you see a lot of these young Israelite men. All right, they act like they're mothers, man. Okay, it's a lot of that behavior, right? And right here you see the testosterone levels, is low, right? They're putting all types of estrogen in the food to make the men's testosterone decrease and put their estrogen up. You're seeing the woman's estrogen levels going down and their testosterone levels going up, right? Complete imbalances. Everything's completely out of order in this place, man. Right? It's highly defiled, and this shows you the trends, of the testosterone, in Babylon, man. Right? It says right here, average testosterone level. This one is in 2000 was at 600. U.S. fertility rate was at right below 300, and you can go 2015, right? Jumping 15 years later, and it drops dramatically, man. Okay. Right? Let me grab this too. 1 sec. Because due to these effeminate things, right? These effeminate men and this effeminate vibrations getting pushed out. Like I pulled up the other one, right? You got men that is, basically, painting their nails, wearing dresses and so forth, man. They're going off first and foremost, but it goes to show you the influence that is being pushed by these different social media personalities. All right. But real quick, this is Deuteronomy 22:5, and it reads, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy power. All right. And we see that, right, where women is the ones really wearing the pants in a lot of these Babylonian relationships, man. You got the men painting their nails, men putting on wigs, cross-dressing, doing all different types of weirdo behavior, effeminate behavior, man. All right. Women out here trying to be the man. It's complete confusion and backwards in this place, man. That's why, again, going back to the tie of this lesson, there is a true shortage of masculinity. All right. And we need salvation, man. The true men, the true masculine men are those that are serving Yahweh Hashem Al Shai. You're not a true man if you're not serving Yahweh Hashem Al Shai. All right. So the men of the Lord, those that are laboring, that's truly serving Yahweh Hashem Al Shai, those are the true masculine men. That's why, the times we're coming into, in times of trouble, when shit pop off, a man of the Lord is going to be a high commodity, man. It's going to be something that is highly sought after, in these times, man, because we live in a world where nothing but effeminate men are the ones in positions of power, are the ones that's, put on a pedestal and so forth, man. Everything's completely out of whack in this place, man. That's why we need salvation. That's why we're hastening the coming of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. That's why we're hastening the destruction of Babylon, America, so we can get saved out of this hellhole, man. But with that, I'll close this lesson out. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. So like a double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone to well. Peace, blessings, salutations to the full elect that is out there pushing, laboring, believing, and laboring onto this truth with heart sincerity. Until next time, shalom and ball, Kwame Sharala, shalom.